for our next adventure, we'll look at creating a jukebox that interacts with our audio manager and our audio rumble system. So you could create a nightclub and you could have the gamepad rumble into the music in the background and stuff like that. It'd be using events again, so let's get started. So we need to create a new C# script and we call it Jukebox. And once that's compiled, we'll open it up in Visual Studio. Let me just get rid of those using statements because they're for my stuff. Okay, we start with the variables. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to want is a public list of SFX clips, and we'll call that music clips, and we'll set that to default. Then we've got 3 serialized fields, 2 bools and an int. So we're going to have 1 bool for a random track, 1 bool for used by radio, and then we need our list index. So we're going to set our 2 bools to false and our integer list index to 0. Then we're going to have a private float for the song length, and a private bool is song playing, and we're going to set that to false. I'll rectify that. I don't know why that's in caps, but you know me, I always mess something up. Okay, our Unity methods. We'll get rid of all of those and we'll just quickly paste some more in to take a look at. Okay, we're going to have a private void on enable, and again we're going to start using a few shortcuts. So we're going to do equals greater than, and then we're going to invoke a method called start jukebox, and we're going to invoke it after 0.1 seconds. On disable we're going to call a stop song method, and in update we're going to call that update jukebox method. Okay, so our start jukebox method, we're going to have a random track float that's going to return an integer number for our list index. So we're going to do if random track, then list index equals, and we'll do random track, and then just play song. So if we're going to have a random track to start, but this is only to start, it's not all the way through, to just pick a random track on the jukebox. If you want to randomize the individual play, you can do that yourself. Again, these are just guides on how to set up the event system, etc, etc. And then once we've decided if we're going to use a random track or not, we're going to call our play song method. So let's look at the play song method. Okay, so in our play song method, we're going to reset the is song playing bool to false. We're then going to raise the stop audio event. So we're going to call our music clips list, which is this list of SFX clips up here. And we're going to choose our list index. Then it'll be .audio group .raise stop audio event, and as you can see it wants an audio source here, and we're going to just pass in the music clips list index audio group audio source. You should be familiar with this because of the audio manager we created. We're then going to set the song length, so we're going to get the music clips list index, the audio clip and its length, and then we're going to add any track offset that we set in the scriptable object to the length of the song. We're then going to raise the play audio event, so that'd be music clips list index.audio group.raise primary audio event, And as you can see from that, it wants an audio source, SFX clip, and an audio configuration. So we use the music clips audio source, the music clip at the list index, which would be the audio clip, and then the audio configuration, which would be using the default configuration. Should you require a separate audio configuration, once again, if you remember, we can create whatever configurations for whatever sound effects. We're then going to set our audio rumble data. So audio rumble dot update clip data question mark dot invoke, and then our music clips dot list index, which is the SFX clip. We're then going to set is song playing to true and increase our list index. Now we want the stop song method. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in the stop song method is set the is song playing ball to false. Then we're going to raise a stop audio event only if it's not used by a radio. So if the exclamation mark, so if not used by radio, we're going to do music clips list index -1, because where we increase the list index, it could, if we try and get that and the list index is 5 and we've only got 4 songs, we do fix that, but we don't want to get out of bounds on our array. So we're going to do list index -1, audio group dot raise stop event, and again that just takes in an audio source, so we'll just use music clips list index -1 dot audio group dot audio source. Here we're going to reset the list index, and then we're just going to call the reset clip data. This question mark is a null check, so rather than doing if reset clip data not equals null, then call the method, we can just use the question mark and invoke it that way. So now we need to update the jukebox, and we need the random track. So let's do random track first, because that's nice and short and sweet. Okay, that's just private int random track, and then we're just going to do int I equals random range from 0 to our music clips count. That will give you the total length of the list. We can use an integer because, say I've got 2 clips that are returned to, but our indexes would be 0 and 1. And because this is exclusive, when using ints, just using music clip count is perfectly fine. And then all we're going to do is return I. So that's when we call our random track when we start the jukebox. Here's all the method, and you can create, rather than raising and the primary and audio events here and the stop audio event here, you can make yourself a random one if you want. So all we've got to do now is just update the jukebox. So let me just close those down so we can see a little bit better. Okay, so again, this can be a private method. So private void update jukebox. We're going to have an if statement, so we're going to check if is song playing. So if the song is playing, we're going to subtract the current time from the music track. So song length minus equals time dot. And we're going to use unscaled delta time, just in case you're in a pause menu and you still want the song to carry on playing and the time to count down. And then we're going to check how much time is left, and if it's less than 0, if our list index is less than our music clips total count, we're going to just call the play song method. If our list index is greater, because in this play song we increase it right at the very end, so if it's greater than the count, we'll just reset it back to 0 and then we'll play the first song in the list again. So that should be all you'll need for the jukebox. So we'll just quickly run through this again. We've got a public list of SFX clips called music clips with the default value. We've got 2 private balls, one for a random track at the start and one used by radio. We'll be making the radio in the next episode. We've got a private int for our list index, which will default to 0. We've got a private float for song length, which we'll set to 0. A private ball is song playing, we set that to false. On enable, we're just going to invoke the start jukebox method with 0.1 seconds. On disable, we're going to call the stopped song method. And in update, we're just going to constantly update the jukebox. So the start jukebox method, we're going to check if we're going to use a random track. If we're going to use a random track, we'll choose a random track from this method here, which will return us a number between 0 and however many clips we've got on our jukebox. And then we're going to call the play song method again, which is just resetting the ball, raising the stop audio event. Then we're going to update the song length, raise the play audio event, set the rumble data, set the ball and increase the list index. When we're stopping the song, we're going to set the ball to false. We're going to check if we're not using the radio, which we are not. We're going to call music clips list index -1 and we're going to call that audio group raise stop audio event. Reset the list index and reset the rumble clip data. Okay, we can save that now. Jump back into Unity. As you can see, I've got some nice icons here. So what we can do is we can do select icon. We've got a nice jukebox icon. And we can create a empty item. We can drag our jukebox on. Music clips. I don't know, we'll do 6. And then we drag some SFX clips in. And we need to choose some music. That one. 2 more. Okay, so that's our jukebox with our 6 tracks. We're not going to use it by radio. We can disable our audio events. And hopefully we should be good to go. Okay, so we hit play. And you can see the jukebox has started up. If we tick disable and tick random track, we can look at the list index. As you can see, it's choosing a random track each time. And if we left it to play on, it would just loop through the whole list. And once it gets to the end, it would go back to the beginning again. As you can see, yep, it's going fine. So there's jukeboxes. In the next episode, we'll look at creating radio stations where we mix a load of jukeboxes together. Audio rumble while we're at it. Which song that will probably be better for audio rumble? I'll turn it on all of them, and then we can just have a play, see how we get on. So we'll disable that. We'll set the list index to 4, see where that brings us. Click play. As you can hear, the joystick so like we could select our samples, increase the samples. This is probably not the best song to do it to. We could probably bring that down to, as you can hear, the joystick is vibrating, and you've just got to play with samples and amplitude like the sound effects clips. So yeah, just checking that is passing the data through. But yeah, for your audio clips to get the rumble right, you just need to play with the amplitude, samples and update step till it just feels natural. Okay, let me select all of those and turn rumble off. Okay, so again, that's jukeboxes, this time with rumble working. In the next episode we'll do some radio stations, so I will see you in the next episode.